Okay, I'm just gonna post this everywhere. There's there. And here. And here. I think there's the. Oh yeah, and the Radiarc. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do your server. There we go.
Hmm.
Okay. What was I?
Just share it in Cheek server.
Oh my god. I don't know if I want to.
No, don't do that. Because you guys aren't close.
Yeah, it'll feel just not right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, I'm hyped to try this absinthe though.
Yeah. Should be yeah, it's really minty is the thing. It's I did not expect it. Like I wasn't expecting the texture, the flavor or anything. So I was
Man,
surprised.
I'm gonna love this then. Because I love mint.
Yeah.
Mint is like I even run Linux Mint.
Specifically cuz you like mint.
Well, yeah, sure.
Okay. Um okay. Well, 3 people. That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this will be the real deal this time. Last night was just a test, but we're really gonna go
Hmm.
over some orchestral production stuff and things. Yeah, just like I don't know, I'm not really good at this, but
It's okay.
um, it'll just be like the panel we're gonna do in a couple of weeks at the con. So this is more for like anyone who can't make it. Okay, so I guess since it's kind of empty, I'm just gonna start talking. Okay. Um, so I have a project loaded up. I don't. Oh, it's gonna be tough for you, Radiarc, because you can't see.
I
Oh my
can't
god.
see.
Wait.
Well, I mean,
Can I? Oh, I don't know if I could share my screen with you because it's gonna like eat up my bandwidth.
no, don't worry. I can just
Yeah.
turn off the sound and just watch.
Okay.
I mean, that's the only problem with it is that I won't be able to really see everything, you know?
Yeah.
Or I won't get the full Frozen Night experience.
That's an unpleasant experience.
That's what you say.
Oh, who knows? Okay. Um, I'm gonna do my best because I'm bad at teaching. I got a project loaded up. It's the thing I'm doing for um, the next ponies at dawn. So let me change that a little bit.
Oh, wait a minute. This is the song?
What's the song?
Your submission for Enigma.
Yeah. Well,
Uh-oh.
it's something I started a while ago. It was
Hmm.
like a year ago. Um,
All right.
I'm going back to
Uh,
what I did for that EP I did. So it's a bit mystical. I don't know if I'll be
ooh.
able to play it without it like crapping out on me. But I'll
Yeah,
just
we'll
play.
go for it.
I'm just gonna freeze some MIDI tracks and let's try. And I'll just only play the strings. Okay. And it's not playing. Hold on. I have my mixer muted.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
there
don't
we
do that.
go. just something I had on the back burner for like over a year now. But it's similar to what I had in mind for like something. It was going to be on the EP, but it's like I never got around to um,
Yeah.
really like.
It I was about to say it's outputting in mono, but it sounds pretty good.
Oh yeah, I forgot I had to do mono because of my mic. Oh, that
Yeah.
sucks.
It's okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of stereo imaging in this, so but it's very early. Um, I'm just gonna break it apart so people can see. But as far as the strings go, the intro, I got these spiccato string lines. Uh, I have like it's a very odd time signature. Like I have it broken up into 12 bars, but the chords are done in 7 bars of um, 7 and 5. So we have the first 7 right here. I think that's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, first 7 right here. Next 7 right here. Um, we got 5 like right here. 5 right here. 5. 7. That sort of thing. I broke it up into 12 because 5 and 7 go to 12. Um, yeah, it's kind of shitty that FL Studio doesn't let you have like interchangeable time signatures without like changing it for the entire project. But I think that's a new thing in FL20. I can't remember. Um, so for the line, I have like the basic chord progression. I'll just isolate this. Um, so just yeah, a typical spiccato string line, playing chords. I think one thing to note is that when you write spiccato parts, you're wanting to you'll break it up since it's a hard hitting, you know, short attack, short release. Um, you want to like make use of the velocity as opposed to like I don't know dynamics. Sustained strings. Anything that's like bowed longs. You're gonna want to do like a curve edits. See, like I have like violin. I have like a curve edit for sustain. Unfortunately, I don't think Radiarc has access to that because of LMMS.
Access to what again?
Uh, Automation.
Um, no. Well, I can probably do it, but it's a really convoluted process, and I'd probably end up having to talk straight to the LMMS devs.
Oh,
And I think I've tried that before, and they didn't even have an answer, so it's like, oh,
oh man.
yeah.
Too
But
bad.
I'll figure it out someday.
I don't know. You've
I,
been making good music without it. So I'm really surprised.
yeah, it's just I guess this would be a good time to talk about automation and um, its both necessity and lack thereof. I think that if you're doing a very focused piece, like something extremely expressive, you want to have full control over your instruments. Automation, I would say, is quite necessary, but there are ways around it, like tweaking the size of the ensemble or having certain instruments duck in and out. You can also fake automation with there are
Arcs.
things like yeah with arcs and stuff like that where it's I guess it's pre-baked, like you don't have to actually automate it. And yeah, just figuring out ways to simulate it so you don't actually have to do it. But I would say if you can do it, definitely do it because it's
Oh
worth
yeah,
taking that extra step.
absolutely. And with I don't know what automation is like in other DAWs outside of FL Studio, but they make it incredibly easy to do it. While in your like piano roll. So like yeah, I'll just open up the strings. So like I have like a patch of, um, hold on, it takes a while to load. Okay, so I'm using 8Dio's Majestica for ensembles. So I have the hard sustains patch selected, and um, I have it routed to a MIDI track that contains a continuous controller on one. One is the mod wheel, and in a lot of like pretty much every modern orchestral library, the mod wheel controls dynamics. So when you move the mod wheel, whoops, let me close out that. When you move the mod wheel up and down, it'll just like control um, like the samples that play. So instead of like moving a mixer fader like up and down, like it's the same. That would be like the same sample being played at quiet and loud. Um, the mod wheel, it crossfades between quiet samples that are like recorded quiet and loud samples. So this
Hmm.
is very, I think it's very important to use this as opposed to like automating mixer tracks.
I'll
Um,
be right back.
yeah, okay. Yeah, it's very important. It gives you more realism, and it's like you got all these samples that you paid for, or, however you acquired them. You want to make use of them, so it's probably for the definitely take advantage of automating. So let me just click that. So right here, I just have like violin part, or mostly it's like a violin viola part given the range. So I'm just gonna play it. Something like that. So you can hear like, um, yeah, it's got like these. You got volume curve. It goes up like this, and that's really up to you. It's completely completely dependent on what you want to do with the song. You'll modify your curves. Like I tend to increase the volume where it like right where there's like a chord transition. So like right here, I have like a goes up all the way up until the chord transition, and then it kind of like tapers off as it enters into the next chord. And then as it transitions into these following chords, we have another ramp up like this, and we quiet down one more time, and then at the end of the ostinato, we bring it all the way up to the top. So it has a big impact. We want it to the final. I like having my well, I guess the ending of my phrases have like a big impact. So wasn't as big as I thought. Let's try going down a little bit more and have a bigger. Yeah, it's much better. Uh, Jeek, yeah, I'm still having issues. I don't have a new computer yet because I don't have the money for it. But I'm freezing like my MIDI tracks currently, so my CPU doesn't die. I don't think I'll be able to. I have a recording of the whole thing playing, and I'll play it at the end when I'm done. But for now, I'm probably just gonna like take it apart piece by piece so my CPU doesn't blow up. Okay. I don't know when Radiarc's gonna be back. He left the. I think his computer died. He'll be back shortly. But I'll just continue on. So in addition to automation stuff, you have like short. I'll go back to the spiccato strings. You have shorts, which they don't really benefit from stuff like this. It's because you're not transitioning as much. Like there's very little transition. Oh hey Ellipse. Um, so you want to make use of velocity since the attack is very important. Here I have like velocity, you know, divided up into two different layers. There's the aggressive hit that kind of accentuates like a rhythmic element. So I'm just gonna mute this. I'll solo it, and so like right here we have. So we have like a spiccato strings that have a very rhythmic element to it because of hard hitting velocities on like certain downbeats, and
Sorry
we have
about
like
that.
oh, that's all right. I'm just going back to velocity and stuff.
Mm. Oh
Um,
man, what all have you covered with velocity, if you don't mind
oh,
me
I
asking?
kind of just started actually.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, I just talked about like I'm showcasing my chords, my spiccato string lines now. I have like velocity divided up into two different layers. You know,
Hmm.
one the maximum velocity where it's like it accentuates a rhythmic element of it, and
Yeah,
like these upbeats that are kind of like in the background that give it more space. Like you're given like you're um, more like outlining a chord. So
yeah.
yeah, if you want to.
Now, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, if you have like more to add, yeah, go for it.
Oh, I was gonna say is typically in like really in like epic orchestral or stuff, if you have like a really good line, you can kind of get away with not automating the velocity. But especially when you're trying to like if your line is very bland, if you're just doing chords with spiccato or staccato, you really want to be sure that you're um, automating the velocity because it's the only way that that's going to sound interesting to the listener and keep them engaged. What you can also do is have different string sections accentuate different parts of the rhythm.
Right. I actually
Yeah.
like yeah, I can go through that right now. Like so yeah, I have my strings divided up into SATB, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, violins,
Hmm.
violas, cellos, basses. So here I got like the highs are actually played pretty low. This is I have like the violas come in like right here as the soprano strings, like they ramp up to a higher register. So I have the um, violas play a little bit lower. Then we have cellos. I have this pretty simple cello line. I as far as cellos go, like I have a very similar very similar velocity layout, so it kind of like meshes well together. And then for the
Yeah.
basses, I actually cut out all of the in between notes that don't have like full impact because I feel like it gets a little bit muddy if you have like basses constantly having a heart attack,
Hmm.
especially when they're played like very low, like really really low, right around C2. I think that's about as low as it goes.
Yeah. What you could also do is if you want to have like a really, really strong spiccato line, um, you can take the basses, make sure they're absolutely 100% dry, EQ up the treble on it,
Ooh,
and like
yes.
sort of give it a V curve so that you don't like there's no muddiness with the mids. So you'll have the cellos taking care of the mid range, and then you'll have the basses kind of like it's a really strong bite. It gives more of an edge to that line.
Yes, absolutely.
So like if you've got a really solid hook for like a battle theme or something, and you really want to like bring that forward, that's how you can do it with doubling up the basses in the cello.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I totally agree. Actually, as looking at my composition, I believe I made a mistake and I did not go as low as I'd like to with the basses. Yeah. What I like to do is have the basses play really low. Like they should be like an octave below the cellos. So I'm just gonna lower that, see how much it plays.
Well, also depend you. Let me see if I can word this correctly. It also depends on like how serious you are about transferring your work into an actual orchestral setting, because I stopped caring about realism a long time ago, and it's
Oh yeah.
actually, for me, it's helped me a lot because it lets me be more free with the way that I arrange and orchestrate everything. So, like, sometimes I'll just double up the basses and have them playing on the same octave as the cellos and an octave beneath that.
Okay.
But again, it depends on what you're going for. Now, if you've got like a DVC thing, then you could do that same thing and still technically have it be playable. It just wouldn't give the same impact.
Right.
So like if you're a primarily like super epic or hybrid composer, then you can just, kind of throw everything traditional out the window. But keep in mind that even with stuff like that, there are ways to transfer it to traditional, provided you want to go down that path.
Yes. Hmm. I I do like I'm totally unfamiliar with hybrid. It's like that's all you like you know way more than I do when it comes to hybrid. I guess that's kind of where we are separated.
Yeah.
Like as far I'm looking at my string line and I guess what I try to go for is having a very large ensemble. Like you
Yeah, you're really good at that.
filling up the whole register.
Hmm.
That's what I try to do because it just gives a lot of space to your it fills up a lot of space in your mix, and it leaves out all the emptiness. You don't want, I guess when you're making like epic stuff, you don't want to have like all this empty space in it because it just feels less impactful.
Yeah.
We know someone who does it, and we don't like that. We won't name names.
we
Uh,
we we don't name names.
no, that's not what this stream is all about. But that's pretty much um my string parts in a nutshell. Well, as far as ensemble goes, like I guess we can go to solo strings. I'm just um Radiarc, I'm just gonna like go through like the different parts of the orchestra, honestly, and yeah, you could just you add in whatever you have to share. I'm just gonna um
It's okay, Jeek.
I'm
I
just
don't think he was talking about you.
no, yeah, we're not talking about you. Don't worry. You're better than that.
We know some people where it's like
Yeah,
could be better.
I think you know who it is too, but we're not.
I
Yeah.
love names.
uh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, go ahead and talk about the solo strings.
Okay. So solo strings, very. They give a lot. I don't know. They give a lot of uh, texture to a song. I want to say it's kind of. I don't know if that's the right word exactly, but it
Yeah,
gives.
I think texture would be right because you've got the backing ensemble and then you've got the solo strings up front.
Yeah.
It's more of like a really it depending on how you have them mixed. I just love treble on all the strings. I love to hear the bow against the strings. It's
Oh, that's
beautiful.
nice.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I should start EQing up my strings because as far as it stands, my mixes are very. It's as you said it before. You told me this before. It's very mid heavy. It's very warm. It's
Yeah, which is I mean that's fine, but the reason why I do it is because it helps me a lot with hybrid elements. Actually, more traditional scores tend to be warm because of how the strings work, like in an actual hall in an orchestral setting. You're not going to necessarily get that close mic experience because of the different seating positions. So typically, I would say like an actual true to life mix would probably end up being warmer rather than colder.
okay. Yeah, it would make sense because I guess when you're record or like if you're in a real orchestra and you're recording in a hall, like everything is gonna bounce off the walls. You're gonna get a lot of warmth just by like all that bass and mids. The high, the trebles are just gonna get absorbed. They're by like the
Yeah.
the wall. So it's like you're gonna have like a naturally warm
Yeah,
orchestra.
and then like real life bass is much more uh, present or filling. It's definitely gonna walk over the treble.
Right. Okay, so I have this part open. It's a I just have like 5 notes plating. um, so solo violin. I guess I could tell what I'm using. I got Sinistering solo. It's like pretty much my go-to for um, solo stuff. I like because I like their violins and violas. Sound really good. I don't really make use of their cellos and basses just because it's kind of it actually is really difficult about to really like showcase a solo bass or a solo cello unless it's very expressive like the Tina Guo cello or something similar.
Yeah.
I guess you have to EQ it up a bit. You could probably like EQ mess around with EQ and have it showcase a little bit more. But so I have a simple part right here. Velocity doesn't really do much to tell you the truth. When it comes to like bowed instruments, I think I went over that.
Well,
It just
I,
well, okay. I will
go
say,
ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Like as far as Sinistring solo goes, velocity just controls like different articulations. Like you got expressive legato, standard legato, spiccato, and staccato.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Well, yeah, I was gonna talk more about the different kinds of transitions. Also, with libraries like Berlin Strings or the Berlin Solo Strings, they give you a lot of different options. Like depending on how hard you press the actual key, like depending on the velocity, it'll give you a softer or harder attack. And then from there, they've also have it scripted to where the next note you play, you can change, you can swap between portamento and legato, like regular legato, based on the velocity again.
What didn't LA scoring strings have that function?
I don't know if it had the actual like the attack function, but I know that it let you swap between legato, portamento, and glissando.
Yeah,
Yeah, so LA scoring strings is dated as heck, but
yeah,
it's still useful if you're a beast with mixing.
yeah. Those I don't know. I've had trouble like mixing those strings well. It's
Yeah, you gotta be like next tier
next year.
with your sound design
You
skills.
gotta be Radiarc level.
Man, I barely even did it right.
Yeah, I just could those I don't know. I think their solo stuff is hard to like just get right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I'll play this. I'll play this part. Play it over the violins. Just to showcase the texture of like what it adds. Like you can get an idea. Oh, let me just mute the spiccato stuff. It's gonna get in the way. Let me. Okay, before I go any further, I you could clearly tell that I did not do any automation on that. Oh, and I don't know if you're like paying attention or like listening to this Radiarc, but
Hmm. Oh, I am.
okay.
What are you? Hold on. What are you using right now? Because I want to open this up to.
Oh,
Are you using? Okay.
Sinistring solo. Yes.
Now, are you using the violin one or two?
Violin one.
All right. I can
Uh,
just open up mine and mess around with it.
so yeah, you could clearly tell that I did not do any automation on that. And you could see right here that I didn't do anything. Uh, so I'm just gonna quickly add a curve. So when it comes to like solo strings, I just want this to it froze. Okay, I just want this like to creep in like so. Then I want it to like follow the same pattern as my um, violins. So it kind of goes like this, down, up. So I'm just gonna follow that. Similar pattern. Do something like this. I think it's something like that. Of course, I'm gonna make some more changes as I listen to this. Okay, so let's listen to it again. You can hear that it does give a texture to the song. Like you hear a lot of the expressive nature of the solo violin. Um,
Yeah.
Mostly like here it's vibrato, um, and it's timbre. It varies. It sticks out very well, and I could probably EQ it a little bit more, but I probably won't do that on stream. Probably do it on my own time. Uh, it's really as far as solo violins. I don't know. It's about the best I could do. I like to have it follow maybe a very not so like a melody, but have it be I guess kind of like a simplified version of the melody because it's very floaty, flubby and floaty. It's very it's got a lot of high those legato transitions and it makes it like move all over the place. I guess if you know what I mean. Like I guess as far as this goes, I'll show an example of like the portamento sliding and like the legato transitions.
Yeah.
So I got this soloed. You hear that like very brief, moving up. It's like when you're playing a violin, your fingers would move up and down on the fretboard, so you would hear
Yeah.
that.
Oh, Sinistrings also has that same attack thing. So what you could do is when the violin line comes in, you could have the velocity, like you
Yeah,
could just turn down the velocity so you get a
right,
softer attack. And yeah.
right. Yeah, because they have like standard, um, they have that standard like legato. So I'm just gonna we'll
Hmm.
lower the velocity and have that sample play. It'll probably be like very very not as expressive, like very little vibrato. Lower it a little bit more. Yeah. So it's like it's very non vibrato-ish. Okay. Yes, I just like have it play simpler stuff because it had these legato transitions get kind of like all over the place. Like when you're playing like all these fast notes, it gets all flubby, and then you have to like switch to between spiccato, staccato, and legato. A lot of articulations, but I like having it just to give it that the melody, that texture it needs. Um, as far as like other stuff goes, I got a solo violin too. I don't know why. It's really the viola. Uh, so I got some. I don't know why this is. I have a doubled part. Like this is a monophonic instrument, so I can't play this. I don't know why I did that. Solo cello. I got Tina Guo cello, uh, version 1 point something 2, and it pretty much just plays in a relatively similar register. Like I have it kind of playing like a tenor parts, high tenor parts, and
Hmm.
I like EQing up this the solo cello. What do I have it set? I like EQing up the trebles. I guess I could probably
Yeah.
I'll probably modify this later, but
Well,
yeah.
like what's the like area that you EQ up
Oh I
in kilohertz?
I EQ up like around 3 to 5 kilohertz.
Really?
Yeah.
Because um okay, that might be what's keeping your stuff on the warmer side.
Really?
Because yeah, when I EQ up my stuff, I make sure like 9K and above.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why especially some of my lower instruments have an easier time sticking out more. Like if you noticed in what was it, in Kyrie, you could hear the basses and cello like this spiccato line all the way through it,
Yeah.
and that's how I did it, plus some stereo separation. But
Right.
that's like if you're really having trouble getting them to poke through. But yeah, you should try that sometime if you've got an instrument that you really want at the forefront of your mix.
Okay. Yeah, so you just like PQ'd it.
Yeah, and then maybe like 2 or 3 decibels at max. Sometimes more if it really calls for it. But that at that point you should just start using saturation.
Yeah. I had saturation on it for a bit, but um it kind of added too much grain to it. I didn't really mess around with saturation too much, but I just didn't like the grain it added.
Yeah, that's the trade-off with it.
Yeah, but I'll definitely try this. Um,
All right.
I'll mess around with that later. But I like yeah, EQing up the treble because so it stands out more like so. Oh, that was supposed to play. Let's switch to that. So something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, this one's like even more floaty than the solo violin, so I kind of keep the parts simple. Um, it has like legato transition, so you have to like offset the notes a little bit too. So like when it transitions from this area to this area, you gotta push it back a little bit so it has time to play the sliding sample and the actual sample. Okay, let's see next. I don't really know what else to go over for strings. We could probably go into other stuff. Like I got experimental stuff. Like I got a bunch of Spitfire experimental strings. I got permafrost, scary strings, frozen strings.
Yeah, I forgot you have permafrost.
Yeah, these are really nice. They're very experimental. They're not traditionally mixed or like they're modified a little bit to give it a weird
Hmm.
to give it like a weird sound to it. It's just very unique. So if you want to like
Yeah.
add some uniquity to your stuff, and they're dirt cheap because they're like lab stuff. So
Yeah. Especially early on, I found the scary strings very useful because they're really natural.
yeah. I guess we can move on to like other parts of the orchestra.
What do you use for brass?
Brass. My main is Cinebrass.
Okay, well, I guess we're the same in that.
Okay. I thought you had a Century Brass or something like that.
No, I don't quite wish, but I haven't listened to Century Brass extensively. I would say though, you might want to like for traditional scoring, Albion does some really good brass. Like if you don't need a really epic thing, you just kind of want brass there. Spitfire is really good with all the different mic positions. And granted, Cinebrass does have that. I don't know. Albion just has some kind of weird appeal to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely Cinebrass for most things will work. I use
Yeah.
Cinebrass Pro just because it has the monster
The Monster
brass.
Brass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I have it here too. I guess I could showcase Monster Brass too.
Go for
Um,
it. Has a really nasty sound to it,
it's
but in a
very
good way.
nasty. Yeah, very nasty. But it kind of makes up um, your booms and your brams and like all that like what's it called the Inception horn stuff. It's like
Yeah, Mega Horn.
the Mimi epic orchestral stuff. So I'm just gonna play
Yeah.
this right here. I think I have it somewhere around here. Where is it? I can never find stuff. Okay, so I have it played in
Oh wait,
octaves. What's that?
wait, hold on. I just realized I'm like really loud in comparison to you on your stream.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let me turn on your.
Yeah, just turn me down.
Okay. I think you're better. Try talking.
All right, all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um. So we have I have a the monster brass parts, playing very low, right down above C2, uh, both G2 and G3, right here. I have a this since it's also like a sustained legato instrument. I have a dynamic curve. I got these dynamic swells and decrescendos and stuff. So I'm gonna play this. So it's very, 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 very powerful, and
Yeah.
it's like enough to make like your bottle shake if it's like I don't know. I have these ADHs, Audio Technica's M50, and it's like very loud bass, so it rumbles when you play these.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I actually messed around with the EQ on this. I did a peak EQ on like the treble area around 5K, so you can really hear that like I guess that like what's a good way to describe it? It's like a very like it sounds like their embouchures like whistling a little bit. Like you can hear like a lot of that crackling noise you get. I don't not like a digital crackling, but like the brass crackling you get when you play really loud. I don't really know what the term is for that, to tell you the truth, but it makes it like
Wait, crack.
it's
Wait,
like
say that again.
when you play like a brass instrument really really loud, and it has like you can hear like a bit of weird high stuff. Like it's kind of like a
Like
it
an
doesn't sound
overtone?
it doesn't sound like an overtone. It sounds like their embouchures, like
Oh, wait, hold on.
sure thing. Guess I'll continue on, but yeah, these are for very low stuff. If you want to
Sorry.
have oh, okay. I don't know what the term is for that, but I EQ'd up the highs a little bit just to like have it stand out more in the mix.
Hmm.
I
Is it like overblown or
Yeah, I guess like overblown is the term. I don't know. I
because
really don't
I
know.
know you can do that with flutes. I didn't know you could do that with brass. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe someone in the no, I don't know. Maybe someone knows. They could tell us. But yeah, I have this. I have it broken up like so, just to like give it more power to. You want to give more power to the lower register and give it more bassy timbre. Um,
Hmm.
so I have my brass split up into three areas: trumpets as the treble altos, soprano alto, horns playing the alto tenors, and your cymbasos and tubas and stuff like that. Your monster brass plays the bass. And as far as trumpets, writing for trumpets and horns go, trumpets take the melody pretty much like all the time. Play the melody and counter melody. Let's see what melody I've written. So I have this. I'll just um, showcase this. I'm gonna apologize if this is really loud because I think I don't know if my output volume is louder than what I'm hearing on my desktop.
I don't know. It sounded fine to me.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm not blowing people's ears out. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So I got like a very simple melody playing. It's trumpets play melodies. I don't know. I don't have a dynamic curve set up yet, so I need to work on that. So it's pretty bare. I'm probably gonna mess around with these like sustained notes so they have more variation, more complexity. As far as like French horns go, I in this particular situation I doubled up, so I have the melody playing in both registers. Let's just play that. Gives it more space, or I don't know why I keep saying space. got the melody present in both the soprano voices and the alto tenor voices, so helps it shine more, at least in my opinion. Uh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I don't. I think I should I should once again mention that I know nothing about orchestration. I know nothing about um, properly mixing. I just go by ear and what people tell me. So take what I have to say with a grain of salt. You know, a professional would probably have more to talk about, but I just thought I'd share the writing process just so people can get an idea of like what goes into a song. It's because it's a long process. Um, that
Yeah.
one song, the song I made for the last Noise at Dawn, Dragonfire took 6 weeks to make. That was a long time. And I was like working every Saturday and Sunday on it because those are like pretty much my busy days for music. Otherwise, I'm like too tired during the week to do music. But yeah, it will probably like looking at all this will probably give you a good idea of why it takes so long to write a song from start to finish.
Yeah. Well, maybe I can give some insight as to how to write a song
Oh
quickly.
yeah, see, Radiarc here gets a song done in a day.
Yeah, well, 1 to 3 days is my typical process. So with me, when I start a song or before I start a song, I've got this folder of a buttload of pony pictures that I've downloaded after a while, and I look through them and see if anything catches my eye, and if anything inspires me that day, I'm like, okay, well, let's see what aspect of that I can replicate. So typically, I'll just open up like a piano or just some kind of stringed instrument. Or I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it's with percussion. I feel like I can at least start with the atmosphere there. And after I've got the pace down, or after I've got a good riff going, then I figure out how I can add to that, how I can elaborate upon that, what other aspects of the picture I can, I guess, quote unquote, talk about in the song.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it a quick process for me. I'm also repetitive by nature, which I don't think a lot of people realize, but it's very much just part of what I do. But I'm gonna try to change that more soon. But like, I don't know. It's just when I get going, I just want to keep adding and adding and adding on to it. Even if the ideas aren't that good, I know that I can at least go back at a later time and keep experimenting to see if I can like smooth out the transitions or maybe make a line sound more natural as opposed to forced, which is another thing you want to avoid. Some people have great ideas that don't belong in a certain section of the song. And that's why you save that MIDI for later.
Mm-hmm.
Because the last thing you want to do is force, I guess it's like taking a melody and trying to put it over something where it just doesn't really belong or it feels out of place at that point in the song. Like, always be absolutely certain that the melody that you've come up with doesn't come off as forced. Like, you work your way into it, the melody plays, and then there's a smooth transition out because it's not something that can be easily explained. It's just something that you feel. I would say that the best piece of advice you could ever receive is don't BS yourself. Don't like think, oh, this will be fine, or oh, people won't notice it. What matters is that you notice it. And if you notice that there's a problem with your song or something that can be improved, it's going to be a heck of a lot better to fix it now rather than be upset at it later.
Yeah. Also, if I could add, if you notice that it's forced and you feel that's forced and you can notice your own issues, it's likely that other people will notice it too.
Yeah. And the last thing you want is someone in the comments pointing at that
Yeah,
specific part because
yeah,
then it's like, well, shoot, I really was right. Maybe I should have done something.
yeah. It doesn't look good to have to go back and like remaster, remake your songs like all the time. You should, unless it's like like over a course of like years and you want to like showcase like how much you improved. But
Yeah, that's
it
why I don't touch any of my songs until much, much later. Like as of right now, I feel like I could go back and I I feel like I could start to reorchestrate or remake some of the stuff that I did a long time ago. But if you're going to do that, I feel that it's better to alter the song because sometimes you'll look back at something and think, maybe that idea wasn't the best. Maybe I could do something better there. So just go and do the better thing.
yeah.
Also, Ghost XB. Uh,
Hey, he showed up. Nice.
yeah. Do you
Who
ever think about theory?
I do. Well, I do, because I know theory, and
Hmm.
I think I've said this last night, but yeah, since he wasn't here, yes, I do think about theory a lot because it helps me change up chords a lot. Like in your standard diatonic scales, you have like seven different natural chords that play seven different natural chord combinations. So you have like if you want to like stay in the key, you have a limited workspace. But of course, it's better branch out and like try new stuff. So actually, this song is a good example of that. So seven chords, in your standard diatonic scale. This song is actually written in a mode. It's written in a G Dorian, I think is what it is. So G Dorian is basically your um, minor scale, except the sixth note, the sixth scale degree, is raised a half step. So for hold on, can't find the piano. So your standard G minor scale is G Dorian is actually raised to six. So like something like that. So it adds a very interesting element because it changes the structure. It changes like the major minor chords. Like for example, the four chord, which is C E flat G, would actually be C E G. So it changes from a minor chord to a major chord, and it actually personally after playing around with it, it gives it that chord is like very kind of like fantasy like. I have an example like right here. I like talking about chords. It's fun. So that's supposed to play. So you got G minor, C, G minor, then F major. So it's I don't know. I think it gives like a fantasy feeling to it. When you have this major four chord instead of a minor four chord. But yeah. Like I think about theory a lot. This turned out to be a longer answer than I thought, but I like talking about theory.
I
Yeah, if you have anything, Radiarc.
uh I don't know anything. Like I know some things. It's more of a feeling than actual knowledge. I can sit down and play the piano, but I don't really know what I'm doing when I play it. I just know that there are certain patterns and sequences that line up with other patterns and sequences, and it's a good time. But like as far as actually being able to name the stuff, I'm just completely lost. Everyone else can walk circles around me.
But I think if you're any example that it does, you don't need music theory to make good music. That's for damn sure. If you're a good example of that.
Thank you. I I just I would learn music theory because I do think it could help me, but I also like to keep the mystery of it. I like to just stand on the outside and kind of, I don't know, feel my way around.
Yeah.
It's like the most interesting experience of, I guess, being blind in a sense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what this is, but it seems pretty cool to me.
Well, I guess we can go on to other parts. Not much left. Well, there's quite a bit left. Um, eh,
Percussion. Do you want to
Percussion.
talk about percussion?
Uh, okay. So whoever's left over, whoever's still here, percussion is it's a lot of fun, and
It's very controversial.
it's it can be both your best friend and your worst enemy in terms of music and orchestral.
Yeah, because if you're, oh gosh, so I'm just gonna get it out of the way. Loops versus actual created lines. If all you're going to do is you have a loop in mind, but instead you choose to recreate it, you're no better than just using the loop in the first place because it was already what you wanted it to be. Like that's the reason people use loops. That's the reason people package loops with their percussion libraries. It's for them to be used. Now, what I don't agree with is just using like one loop throughout the entire song. It's better to layer them with other ones and maybe add some original stuff on top of that. But definitely don't feel bad about using them, but also don't just use them. If you're going to use them, at least try to make it sound good, like it works with your
Yes,
song.
I think.
But in,
Yeah,
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna add. Loops are a great tool for learning how orchestral percussion is written, and it's good for studying what goes well together, what rhythms are very common, what rhythm would help me write the song better. How could I
Hmm.
break apart this loop, rewrite it, and then change it around a bit. I like
Yeah.
taking apart these loops and seeing how they work. This would be a good example of like this song has no percussive loops in it. Um, all of it's written by me, and the thing is, the secret that I like doing is that you it's wherever and you have like spiccato string line, excuse me, you would like put percussion on like the downbeats and have quieter velocity hits on like upbeats. So let me just play to better explain it. So I have a percussive line. This is all like custom made. I have it specifically for this song. I don't even think there are any loops in like 7/8 and 5/8, so it's I have to do it all by hand. I'm just gonna like play it. Okay, so that's a yeah. That's pretty much how it is. I have it very the velocity very similar to how I have my spiccato strings. It's because your spiccato strings are adding both a harmonic element and a rhythmic element to your song. So it's worth definitely take advantage of that because it'll not only accentuate your harmonic rhythm, but it will help strengthen help strengthen just the straight up rhythmic element of your song. Like people aren't going to be like hearing um, all these strange percussive rhythms, and your song's going to sound like a much neater if there is a defined rhythm, as opposed to like, you have like all these loops playing different random stuff, and it just doesn't make any sense. I think personally, a lot of orchestral people I've heard who use loops don't, they just like put whatever, they just use whatever loops they have, and they kind of don't bother having it fit in the song rhythmically, so it just sounds like it's there and it doesn't really do much. um, I'll play an example. Let me just layer some cellos and basses so you can like get an idea. So yeah, it's I think it's a loops are a great tool to just learn. Like I would just study loops and see how they're written.
Hmm. I actually did use the loop to learn a certain rhythm with the song that I did recently, because I knew how I wanted it to sound, but I didn't know how to actually go about making it
Okay.
until I used the loop, and then I A/B'd between the loop and like what I had made until I got the timing right.
Hmm.
But is there anything else you'd want to cover?
Um, I could go over. I'll go over tuned percussion because I feel like tuned percussion is something that people don't use a lot. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like,
you could
uh,
uh go ahead.
yeah, we seem to interrupt each other a lot. I don't know why, but there's like, there's so much to go through when it comes to orchestral. It's like, uh,
Yeah.
I just wish I was more equipped for teaching it. Uh,
Well, that's why we're doing it now.
yes, absolutely. The con's gonna be very interesting. That's for sure.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, another thing is like, you got your neutral percussion, but you got tuned percussion as well, like your mallets, your marimbas, xylophones. I guess I have right here. I have crotales, um, softer instruments like celestes. Those are really soft mallet instruments. I guess harp would probably fall under percussion, tuned percussion, since it's like a plucked instrument. I don't really know. I like my mixer is set up in a way where it's like I have each section of the orchestra in its own bus. So I have strings, winds, tuned percussion, Hans Zimmer stuff, which is basically just like um, organic percussion like this, where I have it like, separated out, and then just regular percussion. Um, Actually, I'll probably just like break it up into winds, into like woodwinds and brass, but tuned percussion is something that I don't really hear a lot in modern orchestral stuff. I guess as far as like tuned percussion goes, I mean like um, mallet instruments like the marimba, glass marimba, and stuff like that. I guess I hear enough. Um, where is it? Orchestral chimes, like those tubular bells or however they are. Um, I think it's definitely worth, adding into your song, because they give it so much unique variety, and it's something that people, I just don't hear, and I really would like to hear more tuned percussion in songs. I guess I'll play this part right here. I have like a part written out both for um, both the glass marimba and a regular wooden marimba. This is going to be like I want it to be like another forest theme, like what I had for that EP. So I'll just play this part. So yeah, it follows a same rhythmic pattern as my percussion and spiccato strings, so it keeps it consistent, and it's not all over the place. It's mostly playing chord tones. I got some uh, uh, minor like non-chord tones like these that kind of like go all over the place. You have more variation. I got a trill right here because you know mallet instruments really like trills. I like hearing trills and mallet instruments.
Yeah.
And just other, yeah, it's pretty much just gives it some good texture to a song. It makes it very unique. Uh, that's pretty much my spiel on tuned percussion. I guess as far as other stuff goes, cymbals are pretty standard. You got cymbal swells. You know, you know, got a bunch of those. They come with like standard in like every orchestral library. I got risers, the hybrid risers that add a lot of fun stuff. Transitions from one section to the other. Like transition stuff. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of percussion, I guess, because I like keeping it interesting. Uh, oh yeah, I guess we never really went over woodwinds. I don't really use a lot of woodwinds, to tell you the truth, because I don't really have a lot of woodwind libraries. What about you, Radiarc?
Uh, with I'm sorry, with woodwinds or tuned percussion.
Oh, woodwinds.
Like, what do I use, or
Yeah,
just
because I have a lot of solo
oh
stuff.
gosh, what all do I use? I use a lot of Embertone stuff because they make some really nice woodwinds. Um, let's see. Let's just go on up here. Yeah, Embertone has the crystal flute. They also have the Jubal flute. Jubal is good. Crystal flute is much better. Uh, they also have the tomato paste kalimba, which is really good. It's a tune percussion thing.
Yeah.
Um, Scrolling up, I have. Gosh, it takes forever to get through this. I know I've got some stuff by Audict. I think I've got like all their solo woodwinds, which they're passable. They're not bad, but I don't really catch myself using them pretty much ever. Uh, I've got Cinewinds Pro, which sounds really nice, and I want to use it as soon as possible. I just haven't found a good time for it. But yeah, that's actually pretty much it. I also have 8DO's their English horn because I love the English horn, but I've just haven't used it as of late. All in all, though, I would say to oh wait, Aria Sounds. I was trying to
Oh
think of
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. They're ethnic
Yeah,
flutes.
their their woodwinds are actually pretty good, especially if you're looking for a more oriental vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then Spitfire has the Andy Finden kit bags. One and two are the only ones that they've made, but they're both pretty good. I haven't really used them, but they sound good.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I use the Andy Finden in my song Dragonfire. It's like I use it as like an Oriental flute. You could probably hear it in like certain parts, like more of the Oriental, quieter, less aggressive parts. Yeah, it's I guess I have like more Oriental ethnic woodwinds than I do conventional.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, it's like in this project I just have a your regular flute and I got a shakuhachi, um, and a bamboo flute and stuff like that. Um, I think that's pretty much it. I wish I could tell you guys how to write for that stuff, but it's like it seems it follows a similar suit to like brass and strings. You want to put your melodies and your flutes, melodies and contra melodies in the flutes. keeping the high register soprano alto, um, or you could put it in the I don't know. Actually, to tell you the truth, I don't really know how to write for woodwinds. I'm just taking a stab. Uh, yeah. I think
Yeah, I couldn't tell you how to do it either.
I just do it until it sounds good. People hate that answer, but
That's that is the answer though. You work on it until it sounds good to you, but then okay, people hate that answer, but then they hate the second part even more. You take what sounds good to you and send it to someone else and
yes.
ask their opinion. Ask their opinion. You have to ask other people. Otherwise, you're just going to sit there wondering why you're not getting any better. Nobody wants that. I didn't want that, but that's how I ended up because I didn't share my stuff with anybody else until it was a bit too late. And then I was like, well, shoot, I could have been doing this the whole time had I just gotten off my butt and asked somebody their opinion.
But
So
Radiarc,
definitely, yeah.
what if I don't like criticism? What do I do
Well,
then?
nobody likes criticism. You got to be a masochist to enjoy criticism, but you also have to want to get better. It's either you want to get better or you want to sit in mediocrity. It's one or the other. Have you you can't have one without the other.
Yeah. Yeah, I encourage, definitely send your stuff to other people and get their opinion because it's very likely you have like some sort of like tunnel hearing or your ears are shot. You don't know what sounds good. You've been working on the song for like a long ass time.
That's
So,
another thing. Don't work on one song for more I would say don't work on one song for more than a month maximum because after that you're not going to be able to think about it correctly.
yeah.
Like 1 month a year, like don't do that to yourself
Like
because that's you're just going to be upset with it by the end of it.
personally, I think if you're working on a song for a year, it's probably like you're just gonna keep like at that point you're just gonna keep changing it until it sounds like so different. It's because like you want it to keep sounding different, to give you that feeling that oh this is different, so it's good. But it's like
Yeah.
you keep changing, you keep like going further and further away from what you originally had intended for the song. So
Yeah, at that point, it's best to just rip out all of the MIDI and maybe use it in separate songs
yeah,
or just start completely from scratch and think about your original vision and try again. It's like it's like it's like you're cooking a meal, right? And you're working on it and you're following the recipe, but then something goes bad. So you're like, well, maybe I'll just yeah, skip that part. Try something else. And then later, a couple days later, you come back to it and you're like, well, okay, so maybe if I take out all the flour, maybe then I can try to redo this. And then like a month later, it's like, okay, well, maybe put the flour back in, and by then the ingredients are bad, and it's just not a good meal. Just just start over. It, there there was one time I knew a friend who worked on a song for a very, very long time, and it hurt me to watch him do this to himself.
yeah, you told me about
But
this.
yeah, but it's like you can work on something for a long, long time, but it won't it doesn't matter how long you worked on it if it's a pile of garbage. And it hurts to say that, but it's the truth. If it's bad, it doesn't matter how long you work on it or how long you worked on it. That doesn't it the time you spent on it doesn't necessarily always correlate to the quality. At that point, it'd just be best to send the idea to someone else and see what you can do from there.
Right. Yeah, it just it really hurts you. You know,
Yeah.
when people tell me they've worked on a song for a year, I think, okay, well then they're probably so deep in their this trench, they're so deep in this hole that they probably have no idea, like, you know, what their song originally sounds like or what they originally
Hmm.
had wanted it to sound like, and it's probably they've been working on it so long that their ears are shot, they don't know, and it kind of just doesn't sound very good.
Yeah. And I know it sounds really harsh, but it's it's one of those things where you kind of have to deal with it because it's the only way you're going to get better. Nobody said it would be easy to get good because it's not easy.
No, absolutely not.
There are ways to sound good, but actually being good is something that will take a lot of time, a lot of dedication, and a lot of compromises.
Yeah.
There's a lot of yourself that you're going to have to give up in order to reach a higher level of quality. There's a lot of time that I've spent experimenting on something that didn't add up to anything. I mean, there's easily a year's worth of time that I spent working on music that had absolutely no relevance to anything I ever made. But I mean, it was something that I had to get out of the way. So I'd say I'm in a better position now. I kind of regret it, but it was necessary.
Oh yeah. Um,
Experimentation won't always amount to something, just so you know, but it's always a good idea to experiment because that's how you stumble across new things.
Step outside your box.
Hmm.
All right. Uh,
Oh,
Ghost.
solo strings. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ghost. I feel bad because I think he asked it a while ago. Ghost XB asked what do you use for solo strings? Um,
Uh, yeah, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's okay. Ranting is good. Uh, I use Sinistring solo for my primary solo strings, and Tinago acoustic cello. Uh, that's pretty much it. I think those are pretty much the only two solos string libraries I have.
I used to use LA scoring strings first chair, but then I stopped. Let's see, what else do I have? Yeah, I also used the Tina Guo. I used Adagio solo strings for a little bit. Friedlander violin from Embertone. I I definitely made use of back when it first came out. Um, Spitfire's artisan violin. I haven't caught myself using it much yet. I'll go ahead and say yet. I know that there are some parts where it can fit in, but right now I'm swapping between using Sinistring solo and Berlin strings first chair because they've got a whole lot of mic positions and the quality is just stellar.
Yeah,
I feel like there's something I'm missing.
I haven't looked at Berlin strings at all. All I know is they're really expensive.
Yeah, well, I got it when it was on sale,
What was it on sale
but
for?
like $200.
Oh, okay.
But they had just added a double bass to it, so
Oh,
it was like you get all those other strings plus the double bass. And that's what made the deal so attractive.
is it a good
But
double
man,
bass?
it's yeah. Well, it's like I messed around with it for a little bit, but not very long. Ooh, also Spitfire has some well, I think it's off the market now, but uh they had these solo strings kind of dated because of how verby they were. They were very, very wet.
Hmm.
But especially for the time, they were really good samples. But that they've just like updated it or something. So yeah, now
They
there's that.
they took the old ones off their market.
Yeah, a lot of sound design companies have been doing that as of late, where they'll uh, they'll either just take something off the market outright and have like a leaving sale or whatever, like a rest in peace thing. That's what Spitfire likes to do. Or they'll just completely revamp it for Contact 5 point billion, whatever the latest version is.
5.7 point something. I think it's on 5.7. I don't remember.
It's on 5.8 now, dude.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
They can't stop.
Oh my god.
I know, it's crazy. But yeah, that's what they like to do. So, oh, in buying sound libraries, look around, ask around, and then look around again, because there's a lot of stuff people don't know about, and that's where most of my libraries come from.
I think
Because if
the obscure stuff is like the funnest stuff because it's like mostly samples that no one has ever heard of before. And
Yeah, like Stressov sampling's macabre solo strings, those sound beautiful.
oh yeah, I remember you talking about that, and
But
those are really good.
yeah, I didn't get them though because they weren't on sale enough for me. And that's goal number one. Do not purchase anything until it is on sale. Unless you just make so much freaking money, like you're hired in at a factory and you can just afford to splurge on sound design libraries. Go for it. Definitely go for it, because these companies spend thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to make these sound design libraries for people.
Yeah,
And I can't condone torrenting, but you can do that to like test it out or something, but definitely buy it if you're going to use it,
yeah,
because these companies use that money to turn around and make better libraries, especially with Audict. Like they were off to a bit of a rough start, but now they're learning from their mistakes and they're definitely getting a lot better. So
yeah.
they've put the money to good
Definitely.
use.
I think my philosophy is you could, if you want to go the route of pirating, you can do that to test out the library and see if you like it or not. It'll save you
Hmm.
money and it'll save you time in the end. But if you actually end up using it in a song, like a final song that you plan to sell or market in some way, you should probably think about buying the library.
You should definitely think about buying it
Well,
at
yes,
that point,
definitely. It's
because at that point you're using someone else's work to
yeah,
make money. I I don't know, like I'm not going to be your father or whatever
yeah,
in terms of morality.
yeah,
That's solely up to you, but at that point you should consider buying it, because it takes a lot of work to make these things. Like I can't tell you how many sound design or sound library companies there have been who started up trying to make something good and just couldn't figure out how to do it. It's not just as simple as finding a good room, having a good mic, and just recording the samples. It's very time consuming in both recording the samples and actually making the instrument. Let's just hold on. Let's take Sinistring Solo, for example. And this isn't even considering all the stuff they've done on the back end. So you've got all these different mic positions and different mixes. In terms of the mapping, you can swap between velocity or the see, they've got velocity, they've got CC, and they've got key switch for different kinds of legato. By the way, legato has to be programmed. You have to do some pretty intense scripting in order to have one note flow into the next. not only that, but you have to figure out how to splice the audio so that no matter what note is being played, it's able to smoothly transition into the next note. And that's going to take a whole lot of normalization, a whole lot of time. It's just that's just one aspect of this. And we haven't even gotten into like advanced scripting for like different kinds of legato engines, and it just it's so unbelievably complex that you know, it's like you can tell someone worked very very hard on this. So if you can afford it, definitely do support these people.
Right. I don't know. I can't get over like how much work actually goes into these libraries. Like how much like just the the libraries have evolved over like the last couple of decades. They've really gotten so much better, especially in the last
Yeah.
like 10 years. Like they're really advanced now.
Yeah, it's also insane, like looking back and seeing how innovative people were at the time. Because LA scoring strings, like I said earlier, still stands up today. Not as strong as it did a few years ago, but as a sound design, or gosh, I keep saying that. As a sound library, it's really solid because just because of the variety of options you have at your disposal in terms of legato. So there's something to be learned from looking back, I suppose, because even some modern libraries don't give you that kind of flexibility.
Right. Yeah, it's been what it was released in 2008. It was like some. It was pretty much in the
Yeah, it
almost
was
like
the
10 years ago.
late, yeah, golly, it's really
Uh,
been that long.
yeah, and I guess they were probably one of the first libraries to like do like legato transitioning and like it like all these crazy like portamento sliding.
They, hmm, they were, I don't know if they were the first to make it big at, well, yeah, I feel like they were because at the time, I remember back in 2012, I could not wait to get my hands on LA scoring strings. And back then it cost $1,000. It cost $1,000 to get that library, but everyone wanted it because it was the best thing on the market. It was just unparalleled. Nowadays, for $1,000, for less than $1,000, you can snag Berlin strings. Although it's not that far away. Let's see, what else will 1,000 get you?
Well, we got
Man,
L.
for
Oh man, I'm just looking up LA scoring strings 2.5 now since they're on.
yeah,
Uh,
well, they've been on 2.5 for a while.
really? I thought that was kind of
Well, there
recent.
was 1.5, and then they came out with 2.5. But yeah, it was $1,000, and then they made well, not Audio Bro, but another company made Cinematic Strings, and then they came out with Cinematic Strings 2, which now costs like $299 or something, which is I'd say that's your average price for a string library. Spitfire Spitfire Albion used to cost, I remember I bought it for $380, and that
Hmm.
was at a discount.
Yeah, because it's normally like 550, I think.
Yeah, which is it's actually kind of pricey for an all-in-one nowadays because you
Yeah.
can find some for as low as 150.
Yeah.
Like Orchestral Essentials back when I first bought it cost 400 and was it 452? Something like that. It was pretty dang high. Like I couldn't even buy it without someone else helping me.
Jesus.
Yeah. And now hold on, I'm looking up the price because I know it's dropped. It's dropped like a friggin' lead brick. Let's see, Orchestral Essentials one. 329 now. So, not too big of a drop, but definitely a good start for an all-in-one library.
Hmm. I heard a lot of people are using the East West Composer Cloud library because that's an all-in-one library, like included in the the monthly payment plan.
Yeah, and that's a good option. I don't like East West stuff personally, but that's just me. Some people find it easier to work with, and that's good. If you can make it work, it doesn't matter what it is. If you can make it work, don't listen to other people. Just work with it because
Yeah,
you've already figured out how to do it.
yeah. It's a yeah. I hear it a lot in people's songs actually because they have a pretty distinct set of samples that I know like a lot of, especially in this fandom, a lot of earlier, maybe sort of early, sort of like mid intermediate composers who don't really have the money for these fancy libraries
Hmm.
use the composer cloud. So
Yeah, and I've actually mistaken it before for Spitfire Albion just because the two sounded kind of similar.
oh um
But yeah, whatever you find works for you, even if it's the freaking Contact Factory library, if you can work with it, by all means work with it. Know that there are better options on the market, but don't don't be afraid to work with something people deem as inferior. I
yeah.
mean, I work with LMMS. Nobody else works with LMMS. If they say that they do, they're probably using something else to help complement it because LMMS is not built for what I use it for at all. But I found a way to make it work for me, so that's why I use it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's I've seen your projects. I was there. They don't look fun to work with.
Well, if I would just label my instruments, it would probably look a lot better.
Oh
But
yeah.
it takes too much time. I would rather just memorize it.
You're too good for naming.
I don't know that I'm too good for naming. I just memorize patterns and I remember what goes where. Sometimes I get a little mixed up, but that's typically with like the 20 to 30 track uh, songs.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I did was Vile, and that was like 37 or 39 tracks.
Dang. That's pretty
But
high.
then again, you've done bigger stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, I guess. But it's like there's a lot of there's a lot of instrument patches open up, but it's like they're not all running at the same time. Because
Mm.
that would be chaos. But I like having a lot of variation and a lot of variety in my songs.
Yeah, if you've got the money for it, invest in more RAM because more RAM is going to allow you to use more instruments.
Yes, CPU and RAM are probably the two factors that will, you know, pretty much um,
It's going to
drive.
shape your music.
It's gonna yeah. They're the two PC components that contribute to like music production. Your CPU like has to process all these samples and all these software coding and stuff. And if it doesn't, you get like stupid glitchy stuff like when you listen to my streams, you get all this glitchy stuff because it just the CPU can't handle it. So the buffer, it's like a buffer underrun. It just like has to skip samples and it just skips around in the song because it can't process it all at once. But
Yeah, and then like some lines cut out and you have to re-render the
yeah,
project.
that too. I hate that. That's
It's
awful.
awful.
And RAM is certainly going to help you, have bigger projects and have like larger libraries like loaded into your project.
Yeah, I would say that if you're just looking to get started and you're trying to find the best bang for your buck option, go try to find an all-in-one library. I would recommend Orchestral Essentials just because that's what I started on, and all things considered, it's still a solid library. It's not the best, but it's definitely workable. Um, Albion 1 is also good because they did an update to their original Albion library. It's Spitfire Audio, I mean. So I would say one of those two, and then make sure you have a decent amount of RAM. I used to operate on 4 gigabytes. There there was a long time where all I could do was 4 gigabytes of RAM, and then I got up to 8, and then I worked to 16, and now I'm at 32, which I haven't been working with 32 for very long, like at all. Like I just got it,
Like
but
just
I'm
in the last week.
yeah.
Yes.
So I'm gonna see how far I can push that before I need to double it again. Hopefully I won't,
I
but
don't think you will.
there's the possibility because I didn't
Yes.
think I was gonna do that with 16, and then I found myself getting up to like 15 gigabytes with everything else on my computer closed, and it was like, well, shoot.
Yeah. Well, I told you about that. Like when I was finishing the Dragonfire for Ponies at Dawn, I actually had to buy another stick of RAM because there wasn't enough memory to finish the song.
God,
That was awful.
yeah, that sounds awful. I wish I could have done that though. Just went out and bought some RAM. Oh,
God.
jeez. But RAM and CPU, that will determine how limited you are. Some people
Yes.
work best under limitations.
Yeah. No, it requires you to like think differently.
Yeah, so if you ever, it's doubtful that you want to because nobody wants to. But if you ever want to challenge yourself, try to limit the amount of instruments you have open and see what you can do based on that, because it's going to force you to really figure out how to keep the listener entertained with a very minimal palette.
Hmm. I'm not sure what more is there more to talk about, honestly. Um,
Yeah, I think we've covered it all, or most of it anyway.
yeah. Um, let me think.
Oh yeah, don't turn reverb up all the way,
Yeah, don't turn reverb
even if
all
you
the way
want to.
up or turn it all the way down. Just find a good ground. Don't I find like I listen to a lot of orchestral stuff in this fandom. It's like it's either really wet or really dry. I don't know.
Yeah, and personally, I'm not the best person to go to for advice because I frequently go back and listen to stuff, and I'm like, well, that had too much reverb on it. But it's rare. It, it's better to have a dry mix with wet libraries because there are dry and wet libraries, but it's not like with certain dry libraries you're going to have to search a while to find the right convolution or the right reverb because you need something that meshes with the samples. Every library is different, everything has a different timbre. You're going to have to figure out what works with what. There is no all-in-one solution because I've been looking for it and I haven't found it.
Yeah. Um,
But I think that should do it. I don't know. Do you have anything?
I think we covered most aspects of it. Um, yes. I guess I could touch on like the piano, like just do a brief. I didn't forgot about the piano. Uh,
Oh, right.
Pianos are pretty
Uh,
important.
you can go first because I've got too much to say.
Okay. I don't really have a lot to say about pianos because I actually just recently got a piano and I'll load it up right here. I got the Cine Samples Cine piano that was released like last April. I got it for like they had like an introductory price for like $100, so I thought I'd go for it.
Oh, neat.
Um, it's a really good piano. It is very very like let me just play some samples. Like it's very it has very good samples, a lot of velocity layers, and it's got a good bit of settings to use. A lot of it has to do with like dynamic, like the dynamic range of it. Character. You got more intimate. Um, it modifies the velocity. Curve. So more intimate. You'll hear like you hear these quiet sounds played a little bit more normalized as opposed to like really quiet. But yeah, I don't know. I like this piano. It's a really good piano, and I highly recommend it if you're doing orchestral because it's got a good timbre to it. My previous piano was the piano in blue, and it's pretty dated now. I think it was released like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It was pretty old.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go ahead. I guess I didn't really have much to talk about the piano.
Oh boy. So, if you're looking for a good piano and you just, well, actually, I'm going to interrupt myself. ATO's doing a sale on their new, it's like a Steinway 1969, something like that, but it's only $38, which is pretty freaking low for a piano. So definitely snag that while it's still on sale. But if you're looking for something even cheaper, like I'm talking $3, you can get Spitfire's soft piano from their Labs series. And to give you an idea of how good this piano is, I've been using it for most of my songs in the past couple of years. It's a $3 piano, but it's so versatile. Like you can, there's just so much you can do with it. And it's not necessarily because it gives you a lot of options. It's just a very unique sound, but it's a very natural sound. I don't know how they did it or what they did, but it's beautiful and I love it. But other pianos I've used are Spitfire's Orchestral Grand. I still pull that out every now and then to like double with other pianos if I really needed to have like a striking timbre to it. Um, Believe it or not, Aeon from Heaviosity has a piano. It's in Aeon Melodic. It's not a great piano, but it's good for doubling up other things to just have more beef to the sound. What else? There's the Grandeur from Native Instruments. It has a very uh, traditional sound, like traditional scoring kind of sound to it. It's good for, I would say, for very light, like it's almost like an upright, but not quite. It's like a mid ground between a grand and an upright. It's really weird how that works, but it's very defined. It's got a lot of detail in it. I guess someone's here. Uh, but yeah, other than that, I don't really use any other pianos. I did use Piano in Blue for a couple songs. One of them was Moonlight, and the other one was freaking, what was it? Oh yeah, the Tantabus. But that's all I got to say. Do you have anything?
um, Ghost XB said Ember Tone recently released a pretty impressive piano. I'm not familiar with that. Have you ever? Are you familiar? Let me look it up.
Familiar with what? I'm sorry.
Oh, Ember Tone released a piano recently.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up.
Oh shoot. Um, I'm sorry. We invited people over here.
Oh,
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 oh man, they did release a piano. Yeah. Let me see. It's for Contact 5 billion.
oh, great.
What? Wait. Huh?
What?
This is the weirdest freaking thing I've ever seen in my life. And okay,
Is it
Embertone
the?
has my full support for life.
Is
Do,
it
do you see this?
the Walker 1955 Steinway D?
Yeah, look at this. It says compatible with Contact Player 5.7 plus or Contact Full 5.4.1.
What?
Holy hell, they're a lifesaver.
I have not seen anything like that before, honestly.
Nobody. Okay, so for those of you who don't know this, nobody does that. Nobody makes a legacy patch of their instrument because for me, I can't run anything later than 5.5.2 just because I have to do workarounds in Linux. And last time I tried 5.6, it glitched out really bad. So It's probably going to be a while until I'm on that, but um, yeah, the thing that Embertone did right here, I'm gonna see if I can buy this sometime.
Yeah, what's it currently at? What's a
I don't know. Okay, so additional mic positions $15, and Steinway D Lite is 39. Oh, ooh. Okay, this is really attractive. 1955 Steinway D is $99, plus full mic collection is 149.
Oh man.
Huh. Holy crap. They say make sure you have 200 gigabytes of disk space. Each mic
200?
position. Yes, make sure you have 200 gigabytes. Each
Oh
mic
my
position is
god.
about 34 gigabytes.
Whoa, oh my
Jeez.
god. That's
Holy
crazy.
crap. That's nuts. Jeez. Okay, I'm gonna keep this tab open. I want to hear this. Ooh, man. Golly. Uh,
My
yeah.
god.
So yeah, that's pretty much what happens when someone drops a really good sound library. Musicians just go nuts over it.
Oh my god.
But 34 gigabytes is
I
normally
know.
the
I
size of like Sinistrings, like
solo.
Sinistrings core.
Oh really?
Solo core,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
is
like
about 40 gigabytes.
yeah.
200 gigabytes for every mic position. That's unheard of.
They have like
Nobody does that.
they have like 100 velocity have like 100 velocity patches for like one note, and then there's like five different round robins um per key per
Golly.
velocity.
Flagship piano, huh? Man.
I have to
All
listen to
right. Well,
yeah.
I I gotta get going because I got people here. But I mean, obviously it's your stream. Feel free to keep going
Yeah.
if you want to.
Okay. Well, I'll let you go. I'm probably just gonna end it in about a few minutes anyway. I think we covered
All
pretty much
right.
everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll see you around.
Yeah. I'll see you.
Okay. So there's not really much else to cover. I think I'll do like a quick run through the song. Say have it open. Um, let's see here. So I actually had to record it with the built-in audio editor because my computer isn't powerful enough to stream and play this shit at once. So I'll just play it through just to give you guys like an idea of what it sounds like. Yeah, it's still not too pleased on the mix currently, but I'll get there. It's still very early, and I don't know, I think 6 more weeks to work on it. But yeah, thanks for coming out to see the stream. I don't really didn't really know what if I was gonna do this or not, but I wanted to give people a chance if they're not going to like the BronyCon that they can get like some orchestral tips since we'll be doing that in a couple of weeks now. But if you are going to be at the con, I guess you'll get a different version, probably a different version of the what I talked about or what we covered. Um, yeah. Thanks for coming out, guys. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I'll get some more music out eventually. As soon as I get more inspiration, that's for sure.